Yeah, Esau trying to take away the word, man. But this part 2 of the biblical nationality of the so-called white man, right? So as I was saying before, Satan tried to take away the word. It tells you in Genesis 27 and verse 37, and it reads, "And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants." And like I said before, that's a cut really through the spirit. Because even Isaac said that Israel or Jacob will have servants in the kingdom of heaven, man. He will have servants and handmaids from all these other nations. "And with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept." You see that? "And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above." And Esau is living out his blessing right now. The fatness of the earth, he controls the whole world. He has his own private islands. He even tells you in Job 9, verse 24. Let's get that real quick. All right. Let's get Job chapter 9 and verse 24. And it reads, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, man. That's why he rules from America all the way to Russia. He ruled in the Europe, man. If you really think about it, he rules the Middle East as well, right? Because he's setting up his democracy and his system over there, man. He's all over the place, man, right? He's having his blessing right now, having the fatness of the earth right now, right? Let's go back to Genesis. Shalaki too. Let me fix this real quick. Shalaki. Icon, be there. Let's go back. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 27. This is the book of Genesis chapter 27 and verse 40, and it reads, "And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck." You see that? It says, "By thy sword shalt thou live." So Esau is known for living by the sword. That's why he's so blessed or crafted with the gun, man. At first it was a literal sword. Now he got guns. He got missiles. He got ICBM missiles, man. Who started the ICBM missile? Chiefly America, with the nuclear bombing in Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, man. Right? So they're crafty with these guns, man, because that's their blessing. They was blessed with the sword, man. That's why they killed Jake in the street. That's why they have their little daughters shooting at these targets, and they're very good at it, man. They're sniping. They're always going hunting because they were blessed with the sword. If you take away the gun rights of the so-called white man, he's going to cause an uproar. All hell going to break loose, man. Right? They stormed the Capitol, right? 1 year. I think it was last year. They stormed the Capitol, man, with guns. And nothing happened to them, man. Right? And there's one video, there's a social experiment that was say on YouTube. What's it called? It was a so-called white man, an Edomite, and a Jake, an Israelite, a so-called black man. They did an experiment. The Edomite, he went out into public carrying an assault rifle, and the police came up in a peaceful manner. Like, "Man, can you put that away?" He said, "No, I'm exercising my rights." The police said, why are you doing this, man? Can you just put it away?" He said, "No, I'm exercising my rights." And the police, he went back to his car and carried on with his business. Nothing happened to him. Now, what do you think when Jake did that, what do you think happened? He had at least 3 cars out, right, against them. They had that door open, the front door open, and a gun hanging over the door, telling him to get down. Put the gun down, man. All he was doing is exercising his rights. But that shows you who the gun was made for. It wasn't made for us. It was made for the so-called white man. That's why when Jake, he has a gun, even if it's licensed, he gonna get shot. He gonna get shot and things of that nature. Any weapon, he gonna get shot. But when a so-called white man has a gun, nothing happens to him. He might just get punched in the face, a hit on the hand, and that's it, right? But that shows you who the sword, who the guns are really for, man, right? So that's why it's important that brothers be prudent, they be subtle and just wise, going out there on the highways and byways. Some people say, bring guns out there. Hey, all I'm saying is when things happen, don't feel some type of way, because you know what I'm saying. But let's go back to it though. This is Genesis 27 and I'm gonna read verse 40 again. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, which is now, he has the dominion right now, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. I mean, he won't be under us no more, man. He's ruling over us now, man. Right? Because chiefly, even in the time of David, we was always over the Edomites. Spiritually, physically, mentally, we was always over them. But now they ruling the whole earth. He put that yoke off of him, right? And now he's ruling over us. All right? Verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And that's happening, right now, man. Jacob, he didn't get slayed, man. Jacob, the Israelites are getting slayed right now by the so-called white man, by Esau. Getting gunned down in the streets. Look what happened with Emmett Till, man. Look what happened with Ahmaud Arbery, with George Floyd, with so on and so forth. There was one man, I forgot his name. I had his name in my mind. But he was at a red light, at a traffic light, man. He got pulled over, and he got shot. I thought it was a taser. I didn't know it was my actual gun. You can tell the difference, man. I thought it was a taser. I didn't know it was my actual gun, and she got away with it. That heathen, that so-called white woman got away with it, man. You just get shot down for no reason, because Esau is mad against us. Let's get a precept real quick. All right, let's get a precept. Let's get revelation, because Esau's still mad at you to this day. That's why he bear hatred towards you. That's why they have the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. They want to kill you all of a sudden. How come their hate is not toward the Chinese man? How come their hate is not towards the Japanese man, or the Japanese man, Slovakia, towards the East Indian man, towards the African man? Why is it only towards you? Because you finesse him for the blessing. He's still salty about that, man. He feels some type of way. And remember, it tells you that two nations are separated, from the bowels. We are separated. We can't be together, man. It's like water and oil, It just won't work out. This book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12, and it reads, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. It says that the devil has come down unto you, having great wrath. The so-called white man, he's mad at you, man, because he know that you got next. He know that the Most High God of the whole earth, he's your God and not his, man. So he's still mad at you. That's why, again, he shoots you down the street. That's why when you wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, you turn on the news, you see a mother crying over her dead son because he got shot down in the streets, man. Right? That's why you're getting arrested. Jake getting arrested, left and right. Why? Because Esau bear hatred towards us. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, and verse 5. And it reads, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Who's this talking about? Mount Seir. Who came from Mount Seir? The Edomites. Again, it's not going to say Caucasian in the Bible. It's not going to say a Spaniard or French. It's not going to say all these different names now in the Bible, man. It's going to use different terms as Mount Seir, as Edom. It might even say Esau. Right? It's going to say different terms for the so-called white man, even the wicked. These are all hip talk for the so-called white man. Right? It reads, because thou hast had perpetual hatred, meaning a forever hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel. Who the children of Israel? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. You see that? So the so-called white man, he's shedding the blood of the children of Israel with the force of the sword, man. The Native Indians, you had the what's it called, the Trail of Tears, right? The Indian Removal Act. They was killing a lot of a lot of Indians over here, man. Gadites, Reubenites, Simeonites, not Simeonites, Salakia, Reubenites and Gadites, man. It was killing a lot of them over here. You even have the Aztecs, the so-called Issachar and Mayans too. Issachar, Zebulon, the Incas, you name it, man. There was Hernan Cortez came over there around 1520, 1519, 1521 AD and conquered them, man, and started killing them by the force of the sword and forcing them to convert to the Catholicism. I don't know how to say it, but to be a Catholic. If they didn't, they would get killed, right? So these so-called white men, they're shedding blood ever since they came into power. On 1619, right, when we came over here, it was killing a lot of slaves and things of that nature, man. Even until now, with George Floyd got that knee, right, on his neck. You getting shot down the streets. You have your hands up, don't shoot, and you get shot by the so-called white man. Who's that happening to? That's happening to us. Who's doing that? The so-called white man. Chiefly, man. He's the one that's doing that. Because that's Esau. He hates me. He hates you. He hates the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, man. That's in his spirit to do so. Right? Because he's still mad about him not getting the blessing in the spirit. Now, he might not know it. These low-level Edomites, they call you niggers. But they might not know why they hate you, right? But deep inside, they just can't help it, man. That's the demon in them, right? Let's go to Psalm. Let's go to Psalm chapter 10 and verse 8. Actually, I'm going to get this real quick, too. Let's go to Zechariah real quick first. Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 5. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 11 and verse 5, and it reads, "Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not." I'm going to read it again. Zechariah 11 verse 5. "Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty." After they kill you, they slay you in the streets. They don't get put in prison, man. They still have their job. They still have their badge. They're still on duty. Nothing happens to them, man. But if that was a so-called white man, they get fired. They get, I don't know what would happen. They go to jail, go to prison. But they don't care about you, man. They're actually happy that they took another so-called black man, black woman off the earth, right? Especially if it's a 2-for-1 special. They might have a party at home, right? Hey, you never know what they're doing behind closed doors, man. I don't care what they say. They act like they sad and things of that nature. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I was in fear. How were you in fear when his hands was up? It was 20 feet away from you. With his back turned from you, man. You can't trust a so-called white man. Now I'm getting heated now, man. This book of Psalm is really sad too. This book of Psalm, but we're the bad guys though. That's another way how he deceives the whole earth, making it seem like we the bad guys. This book of Psalm, chapter 10 and verse 8, and it reads, "He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages." Who's the he? The so-called white man. What does it mean that he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages? He might be in your hoods and ghettos. He just chilling there under the bridge, or in the cut in the alley where you can't really see him. He's watching Jake just hanging out, but right when he see that weed in the air, he might see a deal happen before him. That's when he pulls up and catch you all of a sudden, man. Right when he catch you with the tail light out, right when you give him a reason to pull you over, all of a sudden he peeps that, he pulls you over. Remember, he's a hunter. A hunter is not just out in the field, shooting a deer. A hunter is being subtle, being cunning, and catching your prey. Who's the prey? We're the prey. Who's the predator? Esau. That's why he referred to, even in this verse on down, a lion. In Isaiah, he's referred to as a young lion. Who's the young lion? The so-called white man. What does lions do? They catch prey. They're predators. Right? I'm going to read it again. Psalm 10 and verse 5. Slakia. Psalm chapter 10 and verse 8. "He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor." So he murdered the innocent. You see a baby get shot. He was innocent, man. He didn't do anything to him. Esau just felt the need to shoot him. The woman got jumped and got beat with the baton. For what reason? For no reason, man. They arresting Jake left and right. For what reason? They just chilling, man. They get arrested. Now they're in prison because they planted weed on them, man. And they're in prison for the rest of their lives. They might even get out with a felony. They can't get no job. It's all crafty. It's crafty counsel. Psalm chapter 83. Let me get a precept real quick through the Spirit. All right? Because they seek your downfall. These nations seek your downfall. It's not a coincidence how we're in the hoods and ghettos, but they're living in the chief places, man. We live in Compton. We live in the ghettos of Atlanta and Detroit, and things in Baltimore. We live bad in those cities, man. But when you go to California, to Beverly Hills, they living good. When you go to the chief places of Hollywood, they living good. When you go to all these Orange County, you go to all these New York City and the penthouses, who's living good? The so-called white man. It's not a coincidence, man. But this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 18. And it reads, about this time, they that were in the tower shut up the Israelites. So these people, these men, they shut up the Israelites, man. They put them in captivity. Who are the Israelites? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And it reads, round about the sanctuary, and saw always their hurt. So these heathen, they always seek your hurt. They want to see your downfall. That's why they put drugs in your community. They put alcohol in your community. They put gun stores in your community. A gun store right next to the alcohol store. That's why all these nations, they're up in your hoods to take away your money. The East Indian man, he all up in that thing, man. The Arabian man, he's all up in that thing at the gas stations. The Chinese man, the Moabite man, selling you dog and cat, right? Oh, I got food. She gave me all this rice. She gave me all this so-called chicken. It might be bad, I don't know. She gave me all this food for $5.99. Man, I love Moab. So hey, that's dog. That's cat. These nations know what they're doing. How come they're not in the so-called white man's community like that, man? Because they know who you are, and they know that Jake can't save money. They can't budget their money. They know that they will make a profit off of you, man, and they want to destroy you. Read Psalms 83 about how all these different nations take crafty counsel against you. It's like everybody, all these different nations, they're gang stalking you basically. They're all in one big huddle, and you're on the outside. You don't know what's going on. You're just oblivious. But they all know what's going on, and they're all against you, right? This is First Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 18, and it reads, and this time they that were in the tower shut up the Israelites round about the sanctuary, and saw always their hurt in the strengthening of the heathen. So while they seek your hurt, taking crafty counsel against you, killing you in the streets, they're seeking the strengthening of the heathen. How can we make ourselves more better? How can we exalt ourselves over the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, God's chosen people, the Israelites? What can we do to get the upper hand? That's why, again, they put drugs in your communities, man. They put witchcraft and sorceries upon us, man. Right? You don't believe me? Go to the streets of Atlanta and tell me what you see. Then after you do that, take a vacation out to Beverly Hills and tell me what you see. All right? This is the book of Psalm, chapter 10 and verse 9. And I read, he lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den, right? He got these agents in your hoods, in your communities. They're just lying low. You don't see them. You don't know who they are. They blend in. Because again, they're hunters. They blend in. But right when you do something, you make a deal, they catch you with your pants sagging. You give off that, I smoke vibes and stuff like that. Guess what? They caught you, so-called, man. Right? It says, he lieth wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net, man. And that's manyfold. That trap, they set traps for you. That one trap might be you buying an ounce of weed from this one dealer, but the whole time that's the agent. Right when you make that purchase, that transaction, they arrest you. They might put coke in your community. They see you take that coke, they see you take it somewhere, they follow right behind you, and they arrest you and your people, man. That trap can also be, they antagonize you on purpose to get you riled up. Now you're putting the hands up, or you getting upset. You got your hands up. Basically you getting more aggressive. They checking your pockets. You getting aggressive, trying to push them off. Now you give them. Now they have a reason to shoot you, so-called, man. It's all traps, man. That's why God be harmless as a dove, wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. That's Matthew 10 and verse 16. Let me see if I can get this one precept. If I can't, it's a spirit. If I can, that's a spirit. All praise to the Most High. But it tells you gotta be careful when you walk in this world, man. For we walk in many battlements, things of that nature. Roughly paraphrasing. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 9 and verse 13. Keep thee far from the man that hath power to kill, so shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. And if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. That's why Jake get tensed up. They have that, I don't want to say that Edomite voice, but they have that proper voice when they get pulled over. Because we know if you try to do something, you reach for something, you're going to get shot, man. Right? It says, if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember that thou goest in the midst of snares, and that thou walkest upon the battlements of the city. So in this life, especially in the world of Esau, there's a lot of snares and trap that Satan trying to catch you with, man. And right when he catch you slipping, it's too late. That's why you have our fathers, our dads, and our mothers saying, don't make the same mistakes as I did. They got caught one time, and their whole life is ruined because the system of the so-called white man. Caught one time, they can't get a job, they can't get housing, they can't get this, they can't get that. They're paying, we're struggling, they're struggling paycheck to paycheck just because of one mistake, man. The so-called white man, he has a safety net. Let's say he get caught one time. Guess what? His dad can either pay it off, or the system don't really care about it. They throw it out the window, right? Like some old pair of shoes, they just throw it out, man. And they don't really get put in the system, man. Right? But us, you get caught one time, that's a wrap. That's OV, right? Let's go back. There's a lot of smart, intelligent Israelites out there who just made bad mistakes, man. Let's be real. Who made bad mistakes. Now they can't live out the opportunities they could have had. Now it's all predestinations, but Esau's system is wicked, man. Esau's system is wicked, right? So, what else I had? We can go back though. Let's go back to Genesis 25 and 29. This is a bit of Genesis, chapter 25 and verse 29. And it reads, Genesis 25 and verse 29, and it reads, and Jacob saw a pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob, that's where you get Edomites from, Edom. So he's called Esau, he's also called Edom. So when you hear brothers say Edomites, talking about the so-called white man. When you hear people talk about Esau, talking about the so-called white man. Right? And it reads, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. So Jacob, he wanted that birthright. He wanted the blessing. He wanted all of that, man. Right? Verse 32, because Jacob knew how important that birthright is. Verse 32, and Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So Esau didn't care about that birthright. Esau would sell his soul for anything. For a bike, a skateboard, for some money. He don't care about his birthright, man. He said, it doesn't profit me anything. Verse 33, and Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So he didn't care about his birthright. Now it's all predestination and election. Before they were born, the Most High already had that set up, which we're going to get. But Esau didn't want his birthright, man. That's why we get the blessing, right? That's why we have the birthright of being the firstborn. That's why I told you in Exodus 4 and 22 that Israel is my firstborn, right? So let's get Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16, and it reads, because even Paul talked about it. A lot of people gonna say, yeah, I love Paul. Let's talk about Paul. They don't really go to Christ. They rather go to the epistles of Paul. They can't understand it. They're spiritually discerned. Yet they won't go to Paul. But how did Paul feel about Esau? He felt the same way as Yahushua. He felt the same way as our forefathers. He felt the same way as the righteous man in the Bible. They hated Esau, man. Hebrews 12 and verse 16. And again, the Lord said, blessed are ye who are not offended in me. Roughly paraphrasing. So if you're offended in that, you got to check your spirit. Because the Lord said that. And who are you to buck up against the Lord? Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For you know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. So Paul's talking about the account that we just read in Genesis 25. He sold his birthright. He can't even repent. If you want, that's a cut to everybody getting saved, because the so-called white man can't even repent, man. It tells you again, we're going to get it. I'm going to get it right now, actually. That his heritage is laid waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Paraphrase it, man. So Esau can't ever repent, right? And it is what it is. The Most High, he can do whatever he want to do. This book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 1. And it reads, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. And it reads, I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I love Jacob. So the Lord loves you, man. The Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Yeah, you might be going through hell. You might be stressed out. We all fall. But the Lord loves you, man, at the end of the day. Romans 11, verse 26, man, we're all going to be saved. All Israel shall be saved, man. But I'm going to keep going. Verse 3. And I hated Esau. That's the Lord saying that. And I hated Esau. When people read Romans 9 and verse 13, the reason why it says, as it is written, because Paul was quoting from the Old Testament. He didn't have the New Testament. He didn't just have some hallucination or visions and then started writing about Esau. No, he was reading from the Old Testament, man. It says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste. His heritage, meaning his seed line, waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So his whole heritage, his whole seed line is laid waste. No repentance. Verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. When did they do that? During the Renaissance. They came out the so-called dark ages of not ruling. Then in the Renaissance, they came back into power. Right? That's why you hear about Leonardo da Vinci and all these other people like Prince Henry the Navigator, things of that nature, man. Right? Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. So if you want to meet the most wicked man in the world, talk to a so-called white man. The Lord said they're the border of wickedness, man. The border, at the brim. If you go any more over, it's going to overfill, man. He's the border of wickedness. You can't get any closer to that, man. Right? Those people are the border of wickedness. And that's what the Lord said. The vile creatures of the earth. Now let's get one more, right? Through the Spirit. If it be the Lord's will, we're going to close out. And get the classic in Romans. Romans chapter 9 and verse 10. And it reads, and not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being, this verse 11 cuts everything. It reads, for the children, Jacob and Esau, being not yet born. So they wasn't even on the earth yet. They wasn't even born yet. Neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. You see that? So God predestined for Israelites to get the kingdom of heaven. And they wasn't even born yet. The Most High predestined Esau to be the son of perdition, to get destroyed, man. That's all predestination in election and foreknowledge of the Most High God. Verse 12. And it was said unto her, the elder Esau shall serve the younger. So again, Paul's quoting from the Old Testament, man. Verse 13, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. That's what we read in Malachi chapter 1 and verse 2 to verse 3. Verse 14, what shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. Is it unrighteous for the Most High to hate Esau? Is that unrighteous? No, there's no unrighteousness in the Most High God. He's righteous. He's the one who makes the law, man. Right? It reads, God forbid, For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Plain upon tables, man. The Lord will have compassion on certain people more than he will have compassion on certain on other people. You can't ask, well, what? That's not fair. Aren't we all the same blood? We all bleed red. I mean, it's like we all bleed red. So how come he can't get saved? And guess what? The Lord might tell you, guess what? A deer bleeds red. Are you the same as a deer? A bear bleeds red. Are you the same as a bear? We're not all the same people. The Lord gonna confound you, man, and really gonna rebuke you, man, for trying to get talk back to the Most High God. Verse 16, it reads, so then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy. The Lord can show mercy to anybody who wants to, man. And he's not showing mercy to Esau. I want to get one more precept, man. When you read Psalms 109, man, it's multifold. It goes into Judas Iscariot. It goes into wicked people of Israel. But it also goes into the so-called white man. And this is David writing this, man. You read about David when you read 2 Samuel. You read about 1 Kings, about how Joab, they was killing all the men of Edom. They had Edomites in slavery back then, man. Under King David and under Joab, man. Even King Solomon. Right? So you can't make this up. You just can't. But that's why people who gets offended, they don't read. They don't really believe in this thing, man. Right? They have respect to persons. This is because Psalm 109. Psalm 109, I'm going to start at verse 7. The whole chapter good, man. But it says, when he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. And that's a cut to the Lord hears everybody's prayer, because the Lord just said, David, through the hand of David, let his prayer become sin. Every time he prays, worshiping, Jesus, Caesar Borgia, man, it's a sin. Madness, man. So when he's asking for mercy, it's sin upon sin. Verse 12, let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any to favor his fatherless children. Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following, let their name be blotted out. Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth, because that he remembered not to show mercy, but persecuted the poor and needy man, that he might even slay the broken in heart. And that's David, man, putting curses on the so-called white man. All right, so Lord willing, that was edifying. Lord willing, that was plain upon tables. Esau is the so-called white man. That's not me saying that. That's the Bible saying that. But come and give a mighty shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah, Koholoyim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. All praise to the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Shalom.